a woman and you're a man.
James.
I'm doing the Kawabin sighting interview hopefully next week. I have to get it set up still. Hello?
Do you flip my club upside?
Hello? Everett, try one more time.
Send a voicemail. Press.
Hi, Everett.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for
Yep.
Thanks for playing along. How's it going?
Not bad. I figured I'm surprised I got it figured out, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't have a long story, but I got one, man.
All right.
And all I know is people can take. They can either believe it or not. I don't really care. But all I know is what's going on, man. My buddy. Anyway, this happened like a little over 10 years ago, and at the time I was still married. My kids were a lot younger. You know, like one's 25, one's 30ish now. But at the time they were a lot younger, like I said. And my daughter, for whatever reason, my wife and I were coming back from Providence, and we had picked my daughter up in Lisbon, Connecticut, of all places. People think Sasquatch. The last place they're thinking is like New England. But people don't realize when it's 65% or more wooded, forested in New England is, that's a lot of wood. There's more than enough places to hide. But anyway, we had to pick my daughter up in Lisbon. And we had to kill time, so we just decided to go back roads. And it was summertime, beautiful out. It was it was June. And I was hanging out the door, kind of going real slow, just, like I said, having to kill a half hour or so. We got into Connecticut and making our way through Lisbon. And Lisbon is made up of actually Sprague, which is the town. Lisbon, Hanover, and Versailles, they call it. those 3 counties, those 3 little towns make up the district known as Sprague, which will lead to that later on. But anyway, we're going back roads. It's about 8 o'clock, 8:30, getting good and dark, around 8:30. And where we're in the town of Lisbon. We were going by the town landfill, and it was a dead straight road. Oh, it had to have been between a quarter and a half a mile long, and dead straight. And at the end of the road is a little intersection. And again, you're out in the middle of nowhere in the country. There's nothing out there. There's a house here and there, but you can't see one, go out one door and see the next house. They're a quarter mile apart, that kind of thing. Anyway, we go, we're almost at, probably 5 minutes away from where I got to pick my daughter up at this house. And we come to that intersection. We went by the landfill, and we came upon that intersection, and there was one street light underneath the intersection. It was very, very dim. But just before that, about 30 feet before the intersection on the left, I was hanging out the window, kind of wishing I had my motorcycle at the time and wishing I wasn't doing it. I just didn't want to be doing what I was doing. You know, I was like, man, I could be on my bike, putting around or something. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, I look out of my peripheral vision. I sit back up because I see it's pitch black to my left in the woods. I sit back up. I see just 2 huge, glowing red eyeballs. And like I said, it stirred me right up. I sat up straight and out of my peripheral vision. I'm leaning forward, and I see my wife to my right. She's leaning forward at the same time, and I'm like, what the F is that? And she's saying the same thing. I'm like, you're seeing this? You're seeing this? And she says, all I can see is the eyes. That's all I can see is the eyes. And I had a truck with a back seat, time pink cab. I swerved that thing right at it. I was only about 20 feet, not even from this thing. We were on top of it. It was standing fully erect on the side of the road. There was no breakdown lane because this is like a real seriously rural back road, barely 2 lanes. But this son of a bitch, it had more than enough time to get out of Dodge. It had to have seen the headlights for a long, long ways before we got on top of it. That was the most curious thing about it. And I'm to this day, here we are years later, I think about it every day, scratch my head, thinking, why the hell? It seems so intentional. But anyway, it was the strangest thing, and I don't know if you're going to believe this or not, but this is the craziest part of the story. Now, I figured this thing had to be about 7 feet tall. It blended in so well with the darkness around it. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely. It almost looked all like it was nothing there but eyeballs. But you could make it out. You just made, the frame of a humanoid, that humanoid shape. And I don't think it was huge, no patty thing. Although I would say 350 pounds, 400 pounds, somewhere in that range. The craziest thing is the eyes. My headlights were not glowing, were not shining on its eyes at all. Not. There's no way. It was off to my left. The car was facing straight. It was diagonal. It was 45 degree to my left in the driver's door. So yeah, and the eyeballs, they were like orange red. And the craziest, they looked like they were glowing from within. They really did. And you hear stories. Some stories you hear that they don't look like that. Sometimes they do. All I know is what I saw. The eyeballs were big as ping pong balls, at least. I mean, bigger than that, probably.
Everett,
But
how high off the ground do you think would you think the eyeballs were?
I was in the car. The eyes had to be 7 feet off the ground. I was sitting down, like I said, in the driver's seat. It was only not even 20 feet from me. It was unbelievable. You almost could see. I know it sounds crazy, but you could almost see. God, it's hard to explain. I want to use the word cross hatching. Like you'd see with a fly almost. It was the crazy. I didn't see pupils. Let's just put it that way. But this thing, the strangest thing, the body, it was Sasquatch. It was like a Sasquatch body. But what I'm telling you about the eyes don't really match up. Not really. Not at all. But the thing is this. Yeah. I went home. I did what I had to do, pick my daughter up. And I dropped them off. I went back by myself just to see. I just wanted answers at that point. I was like, wow. The only thing I did find out was as I drove sort of into the woods about 8-10 feet, and I'm shining my high beams where I saw it, about 50 feet into those woods, it goes up on like this high berm, and there's railroad tracks on the other side of that just cut through the woods. And to get between that and the landfill, who knows? But crazy stories about, not even, it was the next day. Next day I went to work. At the time I was working at one of the Indian casino in the carpenter shop for years.
Mohegan Sun.
And this guy, the Foxwoods. I
Oh,
worked at both,
Foxwoods, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I go in the shop, telling this guy, I pull up to my desk, this guy's been sitting with me, next to me for years, tell him the story, and he sort of chuckles about it. He didn't say nothing, he didn't laugh at me, but he didn't really judge me either. He didn't say much of anything. And the following day, he comes into work, and he throws this flyer thing down, and what it was the town of Spray, which I said makes up Lisbon and a couple other little towns. Lisbon being the one I saw that thing in. And on the back page of that flyer put out by the town, which is put out once a month, there it is in bold print. Has anybody seen Sasquatch in Lisbon?
Really?
A big question mark, right? Yeah, with a freaking phone number there, you know? I'm like, holy shit, I'm not the only one that's seen this thing, apparently, you know? I'm not crazy. I mean, my wife saw it anyway. I wasn't worried about it.
Did you call it?
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. You know, the thing is I don't know why. I just, I never did, right? I don't know why. I just never did. Never got to it. And it's like, well, I don't know. It's time. I just had other things going on. I'm like, what's the point? You know, I don't know. Which is not like me. Here I am like a decade plus later. And, I'm 55 and you change as you go. Now I'm like kicking myself, wishing I did call that number. But here's the craziest thing. Not the craziest, but here's the thing. About 5 months ago, I was in that town over there in Lisbon.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I was in the store with my son. I hear this, Everett, and sure as hell, it's the guy I'm talking about who brought that paper in, and showed it to me. And he says, he asked me about it. He goes, remember you were telling me about seeing that thing that time? I was like, yeah. He goes, someone saw it again just recently. And I mean,
Really?
like 6 months ago. So, yeah, apparently it's still out there and around. It's a small town, so the same people that are on those roads, probably the same people that use them every day. There's no reason for like casino traffic or nobody cutting through, just same old people trying to get to their houses after work or whatever. So, that repetitive behavior, these things, if they're out there, and if there's one, there's more than one, there's two.
Oh,
they could
absolutely.
be picking off raccoons at the dump, That's what I think. They probably come down the railroad tracks, go over to the dump, pick off some possums, raccoons, or anything. It's probably they're probably lined up like it's a buffet at night over there for all we know.
Everett,
but perfect spot.
Few questions, Everett. So someone in the chat, Jay, said, how wide apart would you say the eyes were from your memory?
That was crazy. That was crazy, too. And it doesn't sound like much, but I'd say 4 inches apart. And
Okay.
I'll tell you what, break out a ruler, and you'll realize how far that is. Like a human, the distance with a human, the distance between like the left eye and the right eye is exactly enough room to fit the third eye. You know what I mean? So the width of your eyeball is the same as the gap between your eyes.
Mm.
So, yeah, these things are different. This thing was like 4 inches. And like I said, that's a long... And then the size of them, you can't even, I don't know. You just go into shock over that. You're not expecting it.
Absolutely.
I've seen some crazy things. I could tell you things, man. I'll tell you because, this is like a Sasquatch show, but if it was a UFO show, I could tell you some stories, man. I've been having to deal with these things since I was a little kid.
Well,
and I'll tell you what, true stories, but these things, I don't know. Honestly, I've heard enough information. My personal opinion is that, like these UFOs and these Sasquatch creatures, even though they've been reported hundreds of years ago, as far back as forever, I'm sure these UFOs have been around as far back, just as long.
Interesting.
In my opinion, yeah. They're all getting dropped off, picked up, and there's no other explanation. This thing I saw looked like it disappeared into thin air. I've heard a report last week where a guy seen one behind some cedar tree, And then all of a sudden, like this blue light appears above his head, a blue orb, and then another one, smaller, different color, and all of a sudden, boom, the thing just disappears into thin air, you know. Then you hear the guy crying on the phone, giving the testimony on someone's channel there, you know. It's not every day you hear a 60-year-old guy bawling, having to take a break, trying to convey a story.
That's very intense, yeah. Do you mind sharing
You know
a little
what I mean?
bit about the UFOs?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, no problem.
All
I
right.
thought I didn't know if you had an interest in that, but I'll tell you right now.
Sure.
Oh, I feel sorry for the people that don't believe, boy, because eventually they're going to be forced to. You know, I saw my first one when I was about 5 years old. I was not far from where I'm at right now in Connecticut.
Okay.
20 miles down the road here. Town called Norwich. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
happy to see it on a skateboard, man. Sitting in the middle of the summer, just happened to saw a gray disc up in the side. We were just, me and a group of friends, probably 4 or 5 of us. I just happened to look up, there it was. I pointed out, and it was just fluttering like left, right, like a dragonfly's wings. And it was about, I don't know, it had to be, I know the person that lived in the house on top of this hill where it happened, so I would say it had to be at least 2,500 feet away or so. I was just thinking about it in my head now, you know. It was my uncle's aunt's house where the UFO was above that back in the 70s. And, yeah, it seems like every damn 5 years or so. And a lot of times, too, it always happens like with someone like my wife. I got a story for you, and I threw it out there a couple times in the comment sections on different channels where I've gotten into personal conversations with people about it stuff, but I haven't gone on but one channel, you know, in the past and told a lot of this stuff. And it didn't go anywhere. It was a smaller channel, and, you know, it gets so intense. I don't know. I don't even know what you want to know.
Well, okay. So how about this?
I'll
So
tell you what.
you saw the disc in the sky. Did you see it land at all, or any other weird stuff happen around the town?
No, I didn't see it land at all. It was just there,
Okay.
like it was just observing us standing there, you know. And then it shot off at light speed.
Oh, wow.
And after that, I will say the weirdest thing too is, as many times as I've seen these things, every time, and I've seen them many, many times, I've never seen the same craft twice. Never, not once. And the most recent one was only about 4 months ago. My son will tell you, he just got out of the Marine Corps. And I was on my back deck here with one of those tack lights you order off TV. And I had that thing on like Morse code. And just for shits and giggles, I was thinking about like that Stephen Greer and all those people at Mount Adams pointing lasers, right?
Right.
And for whatever reason, I'm like, whatever. I'm going to go out here and point this thing at the sky. This was like this, not even.
You did?
Just several months ago. I wasn't out here 3-4 minutes. And boom, right over my head. I know that sounds crazy to people listening, man. This thing was just like a giant Mentos candy, lit up from within, not giving off any light really around it. If it did, it was very soft amount of light. It wasn't lighting anything around it like my trees out here. Wow. And that thing shot over my head within a millisecond, and it shot away to my right just as fast. And I got scared like a little schoolgirl. I swear to God, I bent over and with the flashlight in my hand, and at the time my son goes crying in the house. I bend over and I'm turning to my left, and I said, "Holy shit! I can't believe that happened." And I look up, and woof, another one right over my head. It was only the two, but the second one did the same thing as the first one. I'm on it, breath telling you. This thing shot over my head, like I said, same exact thing. If I didn't know any better, it was like one that did a huge loop in the middle. You know what I mean? Like at warp speed. Otherwise, it was two of them because it went you, wow. And then the other one, same exact pattern. That was just 4 months ago, so not long ago. Anyway, yeah. So back to the 70s, yo.
Okay.
I don't understand. I've always had the fascination for them, though. I mean, I think beyond the norm, in the 70s, they got these book clubs in schools, and, I would always buy the Bigfoot stuff and the UFO stuff. But it was more than that. I had a hunger for this stuff, and I could never quench, even to this day, and I know more now than I wish I don't want to know what I know now, you know what I mean? I wish I've never looked for it. That's the thing, too, I want people to understand. I don't except for the other time with the flashlights 4 months ago. That was a joke. I didn't expect anything to happen. But yeah, and something did, and it scared the
Something
hell out of me.
happened though. Yeah, you've got some wild stuff going on around there, Everett. You definitely keep
That scared the hell
me
out
in the
of me,
loop.
honestly. But yeah, I'll tell you right now, man, they're out there. I saw a gray. I was 14 years old. My mother had a house in Mystic, Connecticut, and there was I woke up 2 in the morning to a gray standing over my head, and
Really?
I told that story to a couple of people. And one of the guy owns a channel, I told him too, because I was starting to freak out. And this thing I didn't hear any voices. I just knew what this thing was telling me. And it just basically was trying to tell me, don't flip the hell out. And I was anyway. And you know what it did? I know people aren't going to believe this, man, but it took and through somehow projected a 3-dimensional, like a holographic image of my younger brother who was on the other side of the house. It projected it layered it like over in front of it, on top of itself. So it looked like my brother was standing in front of me rather than this thing.
Wow.
Although you could still see both, and it wasn't fooling me, you know? And I remember like thinking to this thing, and it knew what I was thinking too, like, you're not fooling me, dude. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the fear I had dissipated. I can remember, here I am now, like 40 years later, I'm telling you this. And I'll never forget it. Just rolled over to the right. I knew this thing was still on my right next to me, but that's what he wanted me to do. That's what I did. And I remember him saying just the word sleep. That was it. And that's exactly what I did. And whatever happened after that, I don't know.
Wow.
But I'll tell you what, I could go on forever. I'll end by one quick story. This happened 12 years ago. And people aren't going to believe this either, but I reported it to MUFON.
Okay.
And he wanted my wife to call him and give him the same story, like corroborate. And she's not one to deal with that kind of thing. She just wants to forget it ever happened, man. But I know this is the craziest of all since I called. But my wife's family's from Canton, Ohio. And we usually go out once or twice a year.
Oh, yeah. I was just there.
Yeah, I like it out there. We got everything out in Canton, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, we're out there, come back, heading a day a week, and coming back through Pennsylvania, trying to get towards New York, you know. And we always time it so we wind up at night, cutting through PA and stuff. And anyway, that night in particular, there was no traffic on the road. It had just stopped raining. It was 1:30 in the morning. It was pouring prior to that. Excuse me. Anyway, it had stopped raining. I'm like said, my wife, man, it's kind of good. There's not a car out here, not a tractor trailer, nothing. And my 2 kids at the time were in the back seat, both of them out cold. Because Pennsylvania, we had been driving for over 5 hours from one end to the other. We're about 40 miles from the New York line. And about 40 miles from the New York line. We come around, and everybody, a lot of people are familiar with like Pennsylvania highways. You'll come around a corner, like on the highway, and you'll see like a huge valley to your left, valley
it's wild.
to your right.
Yeah.
Goes from that to forest. Well, anyway, we're coming around this corner, sharp corner on the highway, and again, there's no one out there. And as we come around this corner, the highway just opened up, and they're right in front of us. I would say 100 feet away. Right there in the road is this craft. It landed on the road. It's shaped not exactly, but shaped sort of like a Big Mac. It had 2 levels, bottom, and it had like an upstairs. It had 2 levels. I know this sounds crazy. And again, same exact thing. My wife's with me, just like when we saw that damn Sasquatch. Here we are, leaning forward, saying, "Is this happening?" I'm reaching back with my right arm, trying to slap the shit out of my kids to wake them up. I'm scared. This is all going down in like milliseconds. And here we go. I'm looking right up at this thing. It's landed, but the landing gear, the way we are, the car was so small. The windows on it, I swear to God, here's the situation. See, I was in the military too.
Okay.
I was an aircraft mechanic
Interesting.
for years. And
yeah.
Anyway, everybody knows. You don't have to be in aviation to know that. They don't put square windows in aircraft, you know, obviously, because they'll blow right out. That's why they're round, you know, because they can't stand the pressures. So here I'm staring at this damn UFO in the road. I'm not saying it was from out in the galaxy. It could be ours. It could have been ours. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is you could see inside each window. The weirdest thing, the windows were probably, guesstimate, they had to be at least 3 feet long by 3 feet long. And there had to be at least 20 across the bottom and the exact same amount across the top. So that give you an idea.
So we're talking 60
and they were
feet.
evenly spaced. Yeah, plus.
Wow.
If I was to guess, I'd say 80, maybe 80 feet. Yeah, all of that. And then it had, like I said, the upstairs part of it. And you could look inside each window from where we were looking out the window. And we were paralyzed now. All we could do was see. We couldn't move left or right with the eyeballs either. You could just see and sort of take it in. And you could see in the windows, but you couldn't see beings or anybody. All you could see was this pink light coming out of each window, this soft, weird, peach-colored light. I've never seen anything like it. Can't describe it. And I swear there were people like outside the car to my left. I could not move, but I could sense it, if that makes sense. If I was to bet, I'm not a betting dude, but if I was to bet, yeah, I would bet. That's what I felt.
Wow.
So, yeah, anyway.
Everett,
sudden,
wild stories. My goodness. Oh, go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, we woke up an hour and a half later. We were 5 miles away. We weren't far from a military base when we woke up either, which is kind of crazy. I don't remember the exact town, but yeah. I'll tell you right now, I'd love to do some like regression and see what the hell happened, that night. I'll never forget it. I know if I bring it up, my wife, she'll talk about it a little bit, but she won't want to. But if I'm like, hey, if someone doesn't believe me and I'm telling them the story or something, I'm like, you can ask, she's right here. And she'll just kind of like nod, yep, it's all true. It's like, it's horrifying. It really is. And I'm not the only one. I'm just one of those people. I'm not afraid to tell people. And this is just, I could go on for another 3 hours.
I'm sure.
Just tell you a story.
Yeah.
Not that I'm gonna, but you get my point. I'm just one of thousands and thousands of people. There's so many people that are never going to tell their stories.
I know it.
Hey, I'm not ashamed. I'm not crazy. You know what I mean? I'm a freaking combat veteran. I always had a good job, a nice house. I'm just a normal dude, just telling you what happened. You can take it, do what you want with it. All I know is it's real. I think anybody nowadays, it's gotten to the point where anybody can come out in their backyard with a laser and point up, and I think something, probably 5 out of 10 times something will show up and play back with them.
Who knows? Who knows what you'll get? Yeah.
Really, that's how bad it is. They're everywhere. But anyway, I'm not going to keep you. I figured I'd call in and get a couple things out.
Everett, thanks for calling,
Every
man.
word of it's true, man, and then some.
I love it.
No problem, man. I enjoy the show. Great stuff, man. Appreciate talking.
Appreciate you listening, man. Thanks for calling.
All right, take care, man.
All right, so that was cool. Thank you, Everett, for sharing some Bigfoot and UFO stories. Okay, so here's the rules if we're going to do this. First rule, and these are Art Bell rules, okay, back in the day. So first rule is 1 call per episode. Second is keep the language clean. So it's easier for me to clean stuff up, if you know what I mean. So, but thank you for calling, Everett. And if anyone else has any other calls they want to or things they want to share, the way to call in is you got to figure out the puzzle. If Everett figured it out, you can figure it out as well. You got bit.ly/call Bigfoot. That is the puzzle you have to figure out in order to get the phone number to call in. Jester is sharing some crazy stuff in the comments right now. Jester, be good to talk to you, but let's see what these comments say. I'll share a real quick Sasquatch encounter. The year was 2000 in Minnesota. Between 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., I was woken up in the camper by the loudest shove to the side of the camper. Here we go. Me and my cousin were terrified, thinking it was a large bear or person. We were located on private property, and no human would be out there at 3 a.m. rocking a large camper. That's wild. That is wild. Dude, that reminds me of, so I just interviewed John Hickenbottom, naturalist from Salt Fork State Park, and he shared with me a story that will be in a future episode about, he's shared stories from within Salt Fork to do with Bigfoot. And I'll just tell you, it's similar to a few campers being shooken up pretty bad by what they say was a Bigfoot. So let's see who else we got in the chat. We got Squatch and Holler. My son and I had a tree fall a couple of months back during the day, and it was hard to find even in the daylight. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so we got Mark Paul here. Mark, I'm just going to say this is a Mark that I have talked to before in one of the Bigfoot Society episodes. He said, I just got back from behind my house and counted 9 trees snapped off at 14 feet high. What kind of scary creature can do this? Would someone please tell me? I mean, it's pretty wild, Mark, for sure. He also says one was new. The others were from last year. And I'll tell you, Mark has got some wild stuff going on in his property. We talked about it for quite a while on Bigfoot Society, but he still has wild stuff going on. So we'll go on for a few more minutes. If someone wants to call in, you're welcome to do so. Mark, I'm more scared now than ever. Outback Orchard said, how long are you going to be on, Jeremiah? I might be able to call in half an hour. Well, I don't know if I'll be on for that long, Outback, but this is kind of a tech check to see if this will work. And so I used to do these live call-in shows, but the thing is that I needed to have a guest release form agreed to for the person to call in. And that's just for me so I can use the audio, right? So that's why I instated this link here. So if you go to this link, bit.ly/call Bigfoot, there's actually a guest release form. And then, hold on.
TATE HIERONYMUS.
We got Tate Hieronymus on the line.
Well, I wouldn't have to be if you just answered my questions in the comments.
Listen, you. So how's it going, man?
I thought I'd just call in and give somebody a few minutes if they want to decide to call in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Update everybody. I'll just update everybody on the BC19 expedition. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Do you have new updates? Go ahead, man.
Well, I know the plan is still to go forward with that. So I don't know if anybody here in the chat has seen the live with you, me, and Jonathan and Ron about the expedition. But there's 2 safety checkpoints. We had a report back from our guy who went up there to check out the area. There's some trees down that we're probably going to have to clear on one of the roads.
Oh, man.
And on the other, there's a gate, so we don't know. We have a friend of ours, Terry Lindsay, who's going to be up there sometime this week and check it out again for us. So sounds like on the day before the hike, we have some work ahead of us.
Wow. I hope you get that straightened out, Tate, because that's a thing where you don't want to have any pathways blocked for sure.
Well, the nice thing is, like, even if those roads, like, because that's the road access to the creek for our safety checkpoints, but in reality, we actually wouldn't need those. I think it just depends on people's comfort level at that point.
Yeah.
Because Jonathan was like, I'm going to be packing in as if there won't be a checkpoint. And I'm doing the same. That way, if we get up there and can clear the road out, we can adjust accordingly instead of having to pack our pack as if we need to hike in with no checkpoint the day before. That would not be a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with Jonathan that you want to be prepared for the worst. I think that's a smart idea, what he is doing, for sure.
Yeah, but no, I figured I'd jump on there to give that little quick update, and then hopefully somebody would have time to get on the link and join the call, so I'll get off.
Well, I appreciate that, man, and I'll be seeing you soon enough at the secret spot for Iowa Expedition Part 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the pub. I mean, not the pub. I didn't say that. Nobody heard.
What are you talking about?
That's the secret spot. It's the pub.
Oh, all right.
Wait, dang it! I said it again. I gotta quit talking. I'm gonna get off.
You better get out of here. Don't worry, it didn't make sense. You're fine.
No, it did make sense.
No, it didn't. Get out of here.
Later.
Later. Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. We've got a ton of stuff in the chat. Let's see. He was ignoring Tate. Well, no, I could never ignore Tate. Let's see. Jester, I got to talk to you, man. We could hear the breathing of this thing. I got enough guts to look out the small side window. There was enough light to see this bipedal creature crouching, dark long hair. That's wild. Also, Mark, tell him, Jeremiah, what I told you earlier today about the deer. Mark, you should call in and you should share. If you can call in, man, that was wild, and I don't know if I could do it justice, man. But Mark, man, anyone who has the guts, come to my house for the night. I'm challenging all comers. He's got a wild property in Tennessee. And, man, we got Ranger Ron who's saying, hey, Mark, can I bring a team out and do a bit of investigating? There might be something that happens there in Northeast Tennessee. Let's see. And just to throw that out there, another detail, Mark is saying it's near the Cumberland River. It's a pretty wild area. Let's see. Brown Dwarf says not deer. Yeah, hopefully not. I think I missed a. Hold on, I need to go back a little bit. Squatch and Holler, yeah, you've already signed one because you've already been on the show. So, I don't know if you have the number though. Yeah. I would just go to the link anyways, Squatch and Holler, and you can get the phone number there. But I need to call back a Mr. High Check, guys, and it is coming up on an hour, so I need to call Doug back real quick to talk about some stuff. But keep an eye out. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you know when I'm going live. I'm going to try to do more of these now that I get it set up. Man, we need to have some of you guys come on live. Okay, I'm going to end with this. Jester says, the creature Sasquatch turned his head and looked at me through the window. I was frozen with fear. Its eyes glowed, and it growled with such deep bass that I could feel it in my chest. Jester, dude, we got to talk. Contact me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com, or maybe we'll get you in one of these lives in the future, but I'm going to try to set up a regular time. Yeah, but this creature is huge. Mark, do you want me to just say your phone number? Is that what you're saying, Mark? Let me know real quick, because I want you to actually, I don't want to just put out your phone number. So, Mark, let me know if you want me to actually say your phone number so people can contact you. Yes, all right, guys, here we go. Mark's phone number is 931-397-0877. 931-397-0877. There you go. And Mark asked me to share that. But, all right, make sure you're all subscribed. I'll talk to you all later. And you have a great night, all. Thanks for hanging out. And Keep it squashy. I gotta get a sign off phrase. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.